Yeah, give me your perspective on DEI, and because based on what I heard earlier, I feel like you don't think I belong here. I am a black man, and because of DEI, I'm not qualified enough to be here. Yes, I am.
Okay, great, then you belong.
But why do I have to prove that to you?
Yes, people should not be in positions just because of the color of their skin.
When you mentioned how DEI is only just putting people of color and marginalized groups in spaces, even if they're not so
Correct.
qualified.
That's exactly what DEI does.
But that's
Diversity, equity. So equity is outcome-based. Is about making people who are of different skin colors have the same outcome, regardless whether or not they are qualified. The best example we have of this is the Students for Fair Admission Harvard Supreme Court case, where black students, they could have a SAT score 300 points lesser than the Asian equivalent and still get into Harvard. That is DEI in practice. I believe when you're hiring for an organization or for a company or for whatever you are doing, you should prioritize merit and character, and race should mean nothing. We should build around things that matter and not things that don't matter.
Okay, but you have to also take into the fact that black people have only been able to completely legally be able to make profit for themselves for around 60 years.
How did something that happened 60 years ago impact your life?
It impacts me all the time.
How?
What do you? Okay, sure, yeah.
So aren't you a living example that all that's a bunch of nonsense and you could just act good and behave well and succeed?
But there's also living examples of the exact opposite. If you look in the impoverished neighborhoods in certain parts of Chicago or St. Louis, there's black communities being thrown aside because they're not getting education.
Thrown aside? Why have the black community gotten poorer since the passage of the Civil Rights Act?
Because of the way the culture has been perpetuated through the years.
Hold on. Why is it that black America has gotten richer on average, poorer on average, since America passed all these anti-racist laws?
I can't answer them.
Okay, yeah. So do you think the fact that 70% of black youth don't have a dad around is probably pretty important?
That's because of the culture.
How does the white culture impact the fact whether or not a black dad stays around when he impregnates a woman?
The culture that has been perpetuated through the 200 years of slavery, the 100 years of segregation, and Jim Crow laws.
In 1960, before the Civil Rights Act, 20% of black youth had a dad around. Now it's, 20% were single fathers, 80% had a dad around. It's been inverted. So we actually have seen black dads run away from their kids the last 60 years. Why is that?
Because of the raised incarceration rates, because of the perpetuated culture.
How did the Holocaust impact Jews? They're doing pretty well.
Well, because they got reparations, we did.